Broke, don't need a four heater, but you can 4 feet approach me. I'm summoning focus of Gogeta. Slight work, so imagine me chilling when folks meet up, cause my...
Another very enjoyable episode of NXT is in the books from September the 21st, 2021. We're going to discuss it thusly. First, I want to say why I'm enjoying NXT so much. One, because the bar has lowered. For starters, the pace has picked up. So there's a lot going on this show. Sometimes it's too much going on, but there's a lot going on. The pace is continuously moving. Almost everything that goes on the show has some type of storyline element to it. That's another thing that I really like. And that makes this show easy to watch. Makes the show fun to watch. And because the bar has been lowered to the point where, hey, most of the talent is new. And a lot of the people who were featured on this episode have not been on the show before, just like last week. You know, there were some who are, kind of recurring characters, but a lot of these people are pretty new. And we got a lot of vignettes, so we got to introduce a lot of new characters. NXT right now is doing what Raw and SmackDown should be doing. Because the bench on NXT is so deep. This is why, when we said you got to get rid of all the indie guys, this is what we meant. Look at how many people are on this roster. Look at these people. It's just like it populated out of nowhere. Like all these people just start boop, 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 like mushrooms. They just started to grow out of the ground. Just had to get all these other guys out of the way first. And they just started populating. I know mushrooms are fungus. So maybe I should have used something else. Maybe I should have used grapes. They're like grapes on a vine, But I've enjoyed NXT so far. So we get an impassioned promo from Tommaso Ciampa to begin the show about, NXT being the A show. He's back on it. He's back on it. He kind of, he did an interview or something like that where he said in three to 6 months, NXT is going to be the A show. You know what? This promo almost made me want to believe him. He talked about how he got his title back for the first time. It's been since he lost it that he never actually lost it because he lost it during, I think he was stripped to have a surgery. That the long journey back was worth it, and it's an exciting time on NXT. He's Mr. NXT, and that everybody knows this is the A show. So Cameron Grimes came out there, won a title shot. I wrote down some guy, and then later wrote a line through and wrote Joe Gacy. Because I did that 8 times on this joint, like some guy, some girl, and then I went back and wrote their name in. So I wrote some guy, then wrote a name through it, Joe Gacy. I had seen Joe Gacy in Evolve, but he was so clean cut. And oh my God, I can't wait to talk about Joe Gacy's gimmick. Anyway, he interrupted Cameron Grimes. LA Knight came out, called the fans incels, called the ring full of heaping hot garbage. Addison Jones told him to shut up because he lost twice in one night. Then Pete Dunne came out there and croaked, "You gotta make a name for yourself. All I see is a bunch of geezers scared to take the first punch." And then a brouhaha took place. Later, the tag team match was announced. Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne versus Tommaso Ciampa and Bron Breakker. And that is going to be our main event of the evening. So, the future of NXT and the past of NXT teamed together to wrestle 2 English guys, Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne. This match ruled. It ruled ass. Pete Dunne is very good. He just has the personality of dry toast. And Ridge Holland can be very good. He's still a little green. I think he's still pretty new to this. He wasn't on NXT UK very long before they snatched him up and brought him to NXT. And then he spent more time injured than in the ring, actually. And of course, Tommaso Ciampa is Tommaso Ciampa, and Bron Breakker is Baby Steiner. He continues to be, he proves to be more Steinerish every week. This week, he snatched up Pete Dunne in a belly-to-belly suplex that looked like Pete Dunne. He must have just started kicking. He looked like a kid on a swing set. He just might start kicking his legs. It reminds me so much of watching the Steiners grab up job guys. It was so awesome. He also bust Dr. Steiner recliner, which got a huge pop from me. I loved it. It was awesome. Tommaso Ciampa threw Pete Dunne over the table, went and did his back, patted himself on the back spot, and then Ridge Holland took him out with I think it was either a clothesline or a shoulder tackle or something. The big finish came with Pete Dunne trying to introduce the baton. Tommaso Ciampa takes it, tosses it outside the ring. Ridge Holland gets the baton. He conveniently leaves it dangling from his hand so far away. he just left it dangling out there. Kyle O'Reilly snatched it from him, hit him in the rib cage, threw him back in the ring. He got hit with a gorilla press slam from Bron Breakker, and Bron Breakker and Tommaso Ciampa win the match. This match was very good. It was fast paced. It was fun. The power guys went in there, and them two bashing into each other like a kid playing with his action figures. It was kind of stupid. The opening spot where Tommaso Ciampa and Pete Dunne are throwing fake punches at each other was also kind of stupid. But other than those two spots, I really enjoyed this match. I think that we're seeing week by week that Bron Breakker is ready. He's ready to lead the league in this joint. I think we're all woke on Bron Breakker right now, right? I can't think of anybody, even the people who hate the E very, very badly. I cannot even find them saying anything negative about Bron Breakker right now. He's very good. I don't know how old he is. Somebody in the comment section, let me know how old he is. But he's kicking ass, man. I had a lot of fun with his matches. He sounds a lot like Scott and Rick. He's just, I don't know what it is about that voice. That voice is something else. So, to go back to the beginning of the episode, there was a fight in the locker room with Elektra Lopez and some other woman, and B-Fab and another woman were all throwing hands at each other. I did not recognize who these other people were because the camera was shaking. This is bad. This is WWE stuff right here, right? The excessive camera movement. My vision is not good enough to keep up with that. I could not keep up with it. I barely recognized B-Fab and Carmen Sandiego. I barely kept up with them. I was confused as hell. But since we're on the subject, we had Elektra Lopez wrestle in a match later in the show. She wrestled Anna Shear, and Elektra Lopez is very green. She wrestles a power style, which means overhand clubs and that kind of thing. And she did some power moves, like she did like a sidewinder, and her finisher was like a belly to back power bomb. It was an interesting choice of moveset for Elektra Lopez. Like I don't know why is she a powerhouse. I don't know. I don't know why that is. I don't understand why she's a powerhouse. I don't know. She's not particularly large. I mean, she's probably a little bigger in the waist than most women, but on the roster, I should say. But I wouldn't call her an absolute powerhouse. In any event, after she made short work of Anna Shear, Santos Escobar says that she's class, sophistication, and raw power, all under the umbrella of Legado del Fantasma, and that she completes Legado del Fantasma. And then Lopez says this was just a taste of what La Madrina will unleash on NXT and NXT 2.0, and that if B-Fab wants some, bring her skinny ass out there. So they played the Hit Road theme song. Of course, that means Legado del Fantasma looked at the ramp like idiots, and B-Fab attacked her from behind, and they had another cat fight. They had two cat fights in this episode, and their cat fights looked particularly good. Lopez was dealing out some damage to B-Fab is not good, man. She's going for it, but she's not particularly good. I think they just told the kids to go out there and have fun, man, because you can tell they're having fun even when things are not good. Like you can tell the pressure is not there. There's not a hell of a lot of pressure on them to perform perfectly, like perform their lines or even matches perfectly. But this was interesting. And of course, the referees and all these type of people separated them. They're building up this match slowly but surely. They're not rushing the Elektra Lopez B-Fab match. They're not rushing it, which is good. So the Cruiserweight Championship, Roderick Strong defeated Kushida. Malcolm Bivens put Roderick Strong's foot on the bottom rope while he was in the hoverboard lock. This, of course, distracted the ref. Then Diamond Mine beat up Kushida while the referee was distracted. Threw him back in the ring. Suplex backbreaker. Roderick Strong wins. And then we immediately immediately go on to Grayson Waller, which, if I have one thing about the NXT, is the random names. What is a Grayson Waller? That didn't even sound like a human being. That sounds like something out of a DC comic book. In any event, he came out. His theme was not bad. The theme to this Grayson Waller, from what I caught, the theme wasn't bad. The theme song wasn't bad. But he says that NXT is a jungle, and he's fit to survive the challenges of the jungle and challenges strong next week for the Cruiserweight Championship. And Malcolm Bivens, who is clearly wearing my grandma's carpet on his back as a suit, accepted the challenge after making fun of how Grayson Waller talks. All right. So Strong and Kushida was pretty good. And, of course, the match was going to be solid. Two very solid workers. I'm wondering what's next for Kushida, really. I don't know what you do with him, really. I mean, he was sort of uneventful as a Cruiserweight champion outside of the open challenges. He was kind of uneventful as a champion. He's very limited because his English is very limited. He can go to the top, I guess. I guess you can move him to the tag team division, which I think might be pretty fun. There's a natural eyeball friendship waiting for him. I'm gonna get to there in a minute. You probably already know what I'm thinking. Roderick Strong, does he lose the Cruiserweight title as soon as he wins it? I thought for a minute he might. I figured he might, but I think they want to establish him for, you don't really get a lot if you beat Roderick Strong immediately. I think that if you have Grayson Waller chase Roderick Strong for a little bit, since Shawn Michaels is the one booking NXT now, his booking is much better than Triple H's. If you watch NXT UK, you know how, and a lot of people don't, if we're being honest. But if you've ever watched NXT UK, you know how much better Shawn Michaels is at putting the show together than Triple H. Triple H he knocks it out of the park when it comes to the takeovers and stuff like that. But as far as having good ring work, vignettes, promos, keeping things simple, introducing characters, introducing reasons for characters and stuff like that, NXT UK is leaps and bounds better than NXT. NXT originally was just bringing in guys and then they'd be playing for like several weeks. NXT UK kind of gets guys out of that playing jobberish mode. It gets them out of there pretty fast, But so Shawn Michaels is moving this joint along in a clip. Now Grayson Waller, he doesn't get anything from beating Roderick Strong next week. Yes, Roderick Strong has been on a winning streak, but we don't know anything about this guy yet. He needs to tell a story. He needs to get in there, and there needs to be some vignettes for him. Like this is his second, or this might be his fourth appearance, and we don't know who this guy is yet. Like we just know he's partners and / friends with Drake Maverick, but we don't know what that means. Like, we know he's the silly one, and Drake Maverick is now the serious one. But we need some more. Like, we need more. Especially in comparison to some of the other people who have been introduced and they're getting, like, whole backstories. Like, they're doing a good job with introducing characters. Speaking of which, Tony D'Angelo came out there and explained that his family takes two things very seriously, business and family. And said that he's going to add a third thing, his success in the WWE. Now, again, he's very Italian. He's very, very Italian. But they're playing it along as if he's the child of mob bosses and not quite a mob boss himself. But he has those lessons that he's been taught. If this guy is any good, this can work. If this guy's any good, this thing could work. Because the vignettes have been pretty good. They've been pretty solid. He's getting old country knowledge and he's mixing it. It's a classic, him learning from the older generation, but still doing his own thing. Last week we were told that, his family had a lot of, businesses, quote unquote, but he played it straight. He went and did sports. He did good in sports, but, there ain't no money in that. So now he's going to do this. Now we learned that, his family has other interests. And he's learning the lessons of the family. But he's going to apply it to his own desires, his own path. That's infinitely more interesting than if he'd just been a straight up mob boss. because now we see that he's kind of avoiding the life. You know, he's he's who he is. He looks like Kalojiro from Bronx Tale, but he's still his own man. So this is awesome. That rules. Kaylee Ray defeated Amari Miller with the gory bomb. Amari Miller cut a promo about her athletic background and that she's here to show out. I do believe there were some bubbles involved in this thing. She had a very high energy introduction that made me think she was probably going to hang around for a while. But no. This is NXT 2.0. This ain't NXT. You're not going to get a 15-minute match, right? A 15-minute cold match at that. They got him in there. Somebody got over. They got out. That's the right thing to do. Even though Amari Miller is a cutie, she might be a little Naomi-ish, which is fine, But we got something for her to do later. Let her flesh out the character more. They're showing us that even if these characters lose, it's not the end. Because usually there's something else, and we'll get to that in a moment when we get to Trey Baxter. But Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, they lost last week. They lost to Imperium. This week they get a vignette where Josh Briggs talks about losing in the breakout tournament, feeling bad about himself going to the bar. While he was in the bar, he bumped into this guy, Brooks Jensen, and they got into a fight. And he says they got into a fight. They almost knocked each other out, and they gained a lot of respect from one another. And now, where they come from, you throw hands, then you shake hands. So now they're tag team partners because they got into a fight with each other in the bar. Look, we're gonna kayfabe Brooks Jensen's age because I know he's not old enough to drink. He's not old enough to be in the bar, right? They just told me last week, mind you, they just told me Brooks Jensen is only 20, so he's not old enough to drink. He's not old enough to be in the bar, right? We're gonna kayfabe that. All right, we're gonna kayfabe that, and I will say, I like this. They explained why these guys are tag team partners, why they're buddies. It came across as being pretty natural. It didn't come across as two guys acting. It was a little over the top, a little comedic. But I said that they were going to go full trucker hats and rednecks. Go for it. I thought that maybe they'd go like blackjacks or something like that. But it seemed like they might go two old school boys, like two Trevor Murdochs. All right, cool. It'll work. I'm willing to give them some breathing space because the bar is very low. So it doesn't matter. Zion Quinn, who is Daniel Vito, was walking with two chicks. He's a sexy man, I guess. He's walking with two chicks. He opens the door for the chicks, and some Indian guy tries to cut in. And he's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the dude tells him chivalry is dead. And so, Zion Quinn opens the door for the young ladies, and then he closes it. And he slams the guy's head into the trailer or whatever the hell that is, the building. Just slams his head against it. I'm like, this guy has a step gimmick. His gimmick is that he respects the ladies. Oh my God. Oh God. He respects the ladies. Oh boy. All right. Whatever, man. This guy, didn't he win a match like 6 weeks ago? He ain't done anything since. But they haven't introduced him yet, like fully. So maybe we'll get some time to introduce this guy fully one day. But right now we see that he loves the ladies and he wants people to respect the ladies. All right, then. So the third match on the show, Trey Baxter loses to Dante Chen in a very, very short match. Chen is Singaporean, the first Singaporean WWE superstar ever. He actually traveled to Shanghai to do a tryout. And he came out in a mask and a hood. And I was like, is he going to wrestle in the mask and the hood? Or maybe I thought to myself, maybe he'll just wrestle in the mask. And then he takes off both. And I was like, oh my God, this dude is 15. He has chubby cheeks and a baby face. This dude is literally young as hell. He is too young to be on. I don't know how old he is, but he looks very young. I was just kind of like, whoa, put the mask back on, brother. Some old lady in the crowd is gonna start pinching your cheeks. Singaporean superstar. Come on, man. His finish was a variation of Angel Garza's wing clipper. I hate that move anyway, by the way. I wish Angel Garza would get a better finish. I hate that goddamn wing clipper. So that was interesting. Then we got Chase University. Now, if you're a follower of this channel, you know that I do not like Harlem Bravado. He sucks. He's boring. But this ruled. This is the difference between having no character and having a character. So Andre Chase, aka Harlem Bravado, who I'm surprised is still not fired. He's wearing a sweater that says Chase U. He has film class showing us all how Odyssey Jones managed to job himself out in the breakout tournament, and said, how his pin attempt was lazy and stupid, and it cost him the match. And he then freeze framed on Odyssey Jones's face and said that this is the face of a loser. So then some guy in the crowd named Steve makes a statement that he doesn't quite like. And so he tells this guy to get the fuck out. He said, "Who did you ever beat? Get the fuck out." Throw the kid out of the classroom. He's cussing. I was like, oh my God, this character has layers. Okay. Now, usually when you have some type of educator's gimmick, Dean Douglas, Matt Stryker, the Genius, they're played as being almost effeminate in a way, where that's kind of a stereotype for a more mental based character. They're almost always effeminate. So it's hard to explain why that is. Oh yeah, the intellectual savior of the masses. His name was Damian Sandow. So every time you have these characters that are based highly on their intelligence, they're almost always in some way effeminate. Either they wear effeminate type colors, like Damian Sandow with the purple and the blue, which is a bisexual lighting, or you will have Lanny, like the way he speaks and the way he was using his wrist, like it was real sissified. Or, Dean Douglas had a very manly voice, but he wore like baby blue and it was like shimmering and stuff. And Matt Stryker was, I don't know. I don't think he fits. Or maybe just him being Matt Stryker was effeminate as hell. But usually that's how the gimmick goes. You have to have like a big strong guy who's usually very stupid. And he might be super masculine, but a very smart guy will be very weak, and he'll also be kind of effeminate. But they seem to be breaking that paradigm a little bit with Andre Chase, because and I'm glad that they put him in a storyline. Like his first storyline is with Odyssey Jones, and Odyssey Jones actually wrestles later in the show. So Odyssey Jones demolishes 2 job guys. It was fun. Let me be honest though. Every time I see Odyssey Jones in that checkered gear, I lose less. I can lose more interest. His gear is not flattering. It looks stupid. He looks like a gigantic race car flag. It's awful. It's like orange and blue, and it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Anyway, Andre Chase was just watching him, critiquing his work. After the match, after Odyssey Jones crushes the 2 guys with a gigantic splash, we stacked them on top of each other. It was great. Andre Chase tried to hit Odyssey Jones with a chair. Odyssey Jones broke the chair by busting the seat. And then Andre Chase backed away and he ran off. I like this, I like the professorial type of characters, the intellectual based characters. I loved it when they were doing it with Timothy Thatcher, who, that was fun. Oh man, we need to bring that back. He needs to be like a professor at Chase University. That would be so much fun. Because Timothy Thatcher, when he was doing his gym type thing, was excellent. That stuff was excellent. I still don't understand why they stopped doing it. I guess if he turned babyface, there was no reason to do it anymore. But that was a really fun gimmick. I really enjoyed that. We had a Cameron Grimes vignette, and then we got Joe Gacy. Oh my word, Joe Gacy. So Joe Gacy, he's dressed like a hall monitor. He comes out there and he sit in the ring. It's quiet as church, and he's sitting in the ring, and he starts talking about the ring being a safe space. It's a place where they settle their differences. But he doesn't need to use his male privilege to get what he wants. And that he can make the ring about overcoming intolerance. And I instantaneously noticed like three things. For starters, his gimmick is that he's an SJW. And that's fucking hilarious. And what made it even more hilarious is the blue check marks that got mad. Everybody was feeling seen during this whole thing. And you know who got mad? You know who got the maddest? Fightful. That's who got the maddest. Soon as he said, something about his male privilege, they were like, I hate this gimmick. The crowd's not reacting to it. It's not over. I'm like, no, it's not over. It was offensive. They don't know how to react. What are they supposed to say? They don't know if he's a heel or a babyface. They don't know whether to cheer or boo. He's just saying this ring should be a safe space. This is where we should overcome intolerance. And they're like, why is he talking stupid in this ring? It ruled. But this is why it works. It's not just because, he's an SJW and I'm going to get to watch SJW, character get beat up. That would be shallow of me, and I'm not that shallow. The interesting thing about this is how disingenuous it was. He's faking. That's the thing. He's a crazy person. And the still picture that has been floating around the internet for like the last several hours of Joe Gacy sitting in the ring with that placid smile on his face, it tells you that the character is nuts. He is crazy. I think at Evolve, he was going by Maniac Joe Gacy. But he was just kind of like a guy in a cut-off jacket at that point. Here, he seems to going to have different levels to his character, where the character going to be espousing all of this non-violent SJW crap, and then eventually he's going to snap, and he's going to be the most probably white ring Trump supporter or whatever on the roster or something like that. I can see it coming. It may take us a month to get there, but you can tell that the character has extra levels to it. It's not just them making fun of SJWs. But everybody who saw that got mad. Everybody got mad. Well, everybody on the blue check marks got mad. A lot of the other people kind of saw it for what it is. It's a wrestling character, and they can see a little bit through it. But everybody's like, it's immediately not over. I'm like, well, guess what? Most of these people are new. Most of them are not over. So the idea that the response was a lack of response, it's like nobody knows who Joe Gacy is. Nobody knows who this guy is. Of course he didn't respond. So there's levels to this character, and I'm actually looking forward to the unraveling of it. It could be very fun. So Joe Gacy ended up wrestling Cameron Grimes. The match again was short. Cameron Grimes wins with the cave-in, but Joe Gacy did a handspring lariat. That was pretty cool. After the match, Joe Gacy wanted to shake hands. Cameron Grimes was an asshole and said no. So Gacy hugged him. And he said no, and he hugged him. He didn't respect his boundaries. Okay, so we see that Joe Gacy is insane. But we also see that he looks a lot like Kevin Owens. And we see that, a lot of these people on the roster are copy pastas of people who are already on the roster. Joe Gacy is basically young Kevin Owens. I think it's Amari Miller, maybe Lash Legend, kind of young versions of Naomi. Then you got Odyssey Jones as, a young Mark Henry. They're not doing it on purpose. I mean, these people, this is just how they're made. People were born like this. Ain't nothing they could do about it if they kind of favor somebody who, we already know. But the interesting thing is Trey Baxter. I should have did this when the Dante Chen match happened, but I forgot it took place. But apparently, Trey Baxter's character is dating Cora Jade, who we see is she likes to wear. She's like Parappa the Rapper. She likes wearing like those hats and like jumpsuits and stuff. She's very hip hop-ish. And she gives the guy a pep talk. She goes in there like, hey, yeah, you had a bad night, but you're like my superhero. You got it. Like, how long have we been together? I know you. She gives him a little smooch on the mouth, and as she leaves, he's like, yeah, I'm a superhero. And I was like, no, we already have a superhero on the roster. No. Oh, it's not going to be good. But then again, I'm interested to see where it's going. I have a morbid curiosity. And look, everybody knows Blake Christian, which is what his name was on the Independents, is very, very bland. Everybody knows that. Are they going to make him a superhero and try to make him interesting? That's not good, man. That's not a good idea. But it's an idea. Not so sure at all I'm thrilled by the idea of another superhero on the roster. We got a Von Wagner promo where he's, flipping in big tires. He looks more and more like Jack Swagger every week, man. He called himself an unconventional man with unconventional methods, but we didn't get to really see the unconventional nature of it. We just saw a guy working out. I heard that this was one of the sons of the Beverly Brothers. That there was I don't know which one it was. I'm not sure if it's Bo or Blake, but I think this guy's the son of one of the Beverly Brothers. That's pretty cool. He's a second generation guy. Nepotism in WWE. Are you surprised, really? I wouldn't be surprised. Just about everybody except the black people are the son of or daughter of somebody who matters, So, it'd be pretty cool, So Frankie Monet is going to get her match with Raquel Gonzalez next week. And also making her debut next week will be Lash Legend on her talk show, Lashing Out. And she was a biggin. She was tall. And she wasn't bad looking. Her promo was a little rough. It was a little rough, but I'm going to give her a shot. Again, the bar is very low. And I'll save my guesses for NXT part of the draft until the end because I don't see all these people staying. And Frankie Monet is one of those people I don't see sticking around past next week. Because next week is the last NXT before the draft, right? No, because the draft there's another episode of NXT before the draft. I think that might be it for her. I think we might be looking at the end of Frankie Monet and the end of LA Knight. Specifically those two. But I want to talk about that after the show. Carmelo Hayes is with Trick Williams and they're walking around backstage and they decide to corner Grayson Waller. And for some reason, Carmelo Hayes decided to remind Grayson Waller that he has a championship challenge that he can use whenever he wants. And you could lose the title as soon as you win it. And Grayson Waller is like, okay, whatever. And then here comes Toxic Attraction, which is JC Jane, Gigi Dolan, and Mandy Rose. And it looks like something straight out of Blacked. It was great. Them chicks is hot, man. And so Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams they're smiling like cats that swallowed the canary. Just looking at them, grinning. They didn't do anything heelish. They just kind of appreciated the look of the ladies. So Toxic Attraction comes out there to cut a promo, and it was rough. Probably next to Joe Gacy, was probably the roughest promo of the night. Well, and Elektra Lopez. So her promo was pretty choppy too. But those are probably the roughest promos of the night. But Mandy Rose comes out there to explain what she's in NXT for and what all of this Toxic Attraction stuff is all about. Now, they're, of course, in heels, and they were in black, and they look amazing. All of them do. They all look hot. Got to give them credit for that. They all look hot. And then Mandy talks, and it's not the best, not the best promo there is. But she says that she came to NXT to be the golden goddess, to be the gift, and she wasn't appreciated. And so she decided to impart some wisdom upon these two young ladies. That would be JC Jane and Gigi Dolan. And she learned from them to stop caring. And that inside of her beautiful body, there was a beast. And so she decided that there were things that she could teach them. And there were things that they could teach her. And then she passes the microphone to Gigi Dolan, who explains that the pain of her past fueled her aggression, but she was chaos without purpose. And now Mandy Rose has given her purpose. And JC Jane says that they're not waiting for a chance like all these other broads in the back. They want the tag team championships, and what Toxic Attraction wants, Toxic Attraction gets. And content was fine. You know, they did a decent job of trying to explain why they're hanging out with each other. And it seems like to be a symbiotic relationship where it's not Mandy Rose leading them, but it's them learning from Mandy and Mandy learning from them. And I like that, the dynamic, because it's like they're corrupting each other. It's like a snake eating its tail. It's like the what's it called, the Ouroboros, you know, where, you know, Mandy was sent to NXT sort of to be, you know, as she said, the gift, you know, but she ends up getting corrupted by these girls, and she, in turn, she ends up corrupting them too, making them worse. So this is truly toxic, you know. Gigi Dolan, whenever somebody says some poetic shit like the pain of my past fuels my aggression, that's a written promo for you. Whenever somebody says some shit like that, you know the promo is written. But she delivered it decently. You know, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. She came across as being legitimately nuts. The role she plays in the gimmick. Mandy Rose is sort of the brain, and I guess JC Jane is going to be either the muscle or whatever. But it's clear with Mandy Rose, at least, that she's the brain of the operation, and Gigi Dolan is going to be, you know, the fire. You know, she's going to be the troublemaker, and I'm guessing JC Jane is just going to be like the blasting cap, or what you might call the flammable fuel, because she's the one who made the challenge, you know. So she's like, you know, we want a title shot, boom, she's the one starting it, but Gigi Dolan's going to be the one that's really going to like light it up. So I'm really interested in that. That could be fun. I don't understand how Mandy Rose has been in the company 5 years, 6. Her promo skills is still on par with like mine, you know. It's not good, but she's getting there. She's more aggressive than she was. So Io Shirai says if she doesn't like them, but if they want it, they got it. To which Zoe Stark says, you know, shouldn't we discuss that? And she was like, do you like them? And Zoe Stark was like, no, I'm just saying it's like a principle. Like, are you? so that was fun. And then some other woman I have no idea who she was. She came out of nowhere and challenged Io Shirai and Zoe Stark to a tag team championship match. I have no idea who this woman is. I legit don't know who she is. So I just went some woman. So most of that was NXT. But then there was the thing that I loved the most. Ike Manjiro. Look, this was so stupid. The funniest thing is when he says, when you think Japanese wrestler, you think strong style. But when you think Ike Manjiro, you think style strong. I was like, oh my God. And then we go into his closet where he's got like 100,000 jackets. It's like all jackets. And it's him talking about how handsome he is. And I'm just sitting here looking at this shit. I'm mesmerized. My mind is literally blown at the Starburst. Like it's like Starburst packets in the goddamn closet. It's colors all over the place. His English is terrible. He's smiling a lot. It's funny. I'm just overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed with. I watched that shit 4 times, bro. I watched that shit right afterwards. I don't know when the last time I watched something and then rewinded and watched it again, but Ike Manjiro made me do it. He's fucking hilarious. And I don't know why I found it so funny, but I did. I found it hilarious. It was complete horse shit. All right, so let's talk about me who I think is going to be leaving, because you can tell in the new NXT they've downplayed quite a few people. Swerve, Santos Escobar, Raquel Gonzalez. They've all been downplayed. MSK has not appeared yet. So pretty much everybody who got a lot of exposure in the previous version of NXT, they got downplayed in the last 2 weeks in favor of introducing new talent, which is a good thing. We already know who MSK is. What we don't know, they're boring as shit. We have no idea who they are. But we know their names. Like, we know their names, we know their faces. And if they popped up, we know they're familiar. Raquel Gonzalez has been gone for 2 weeks. They canceled her title match last week. I think she was hanging out with her boo Braun Strowman, which is pretty gross. But in any event, I can tell that there's about to be a major amount of call-ups. Like, NXT had lost a lot of talent over the last couple of weeks. Xia Li got pulled from NXT. Dakota Kai got pulled from NXT. Aaliyah got pulled from NXT. None of them are on TV in WWE, by the way. None of them are on the main roster. They just pulled them from NXT. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. I think for sure, out of this draft, Frankie Monet and LA Knight are gone. I can't speak for everybody else. I would think they would take their time with Brian Breaker. There's no need to pull him immediately. Let him get a year in. And then I guess when you're ready to bring in Parker Bordeaux or whoever else you're going to bring in, let that person phase him out. I heard that Gable Stevenson will not be going to NXT. I read that in a couple articles, that he's going to be doing some private training in Minnesota with some private trainers whom we don't know who that is. So he's not even going to the PC. They're about to give him the Ronda Rousey treatment. No, Ronda Rousey went to the PC, right? Yeah. So it had to be somebody else who got the private treatment, like Jay Leno or something like that. I'm not thrilled by that idea, by the way. I think he should go and mingle with the rest of the guys and girls. Personally, that's me personally. Because those are going to be his peers. They're all in the same age bracket. Them going through the PC and having to sit in the back for weeks and weeks and weeks, not being used because, hey, we got to have Adam Cole, baby. And Johnny Gargano needed a 15-minute match on TV. It's like, look at how deep the bench is. We don't need LA Knight and Frankie Monet in NXT. We really don't. Now, the women do need a taskmaster, similar to the guys. Like, you need a female version of Tommaso Ciampa that's in NXT that can build the female roster. And I think you have that with Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray has a substantial amount of experience. She's not as experienced as Frankie Monet, which means she's not as old as Frankie Monet. So, but she can be the one that can, be the finishing school for some of the younger women in NXT. Frankie Monet isn't really needed for that. The question is going to be, if Frankie Monet, when she gets called up, is it going to be better than her NXT run? Because her NXT run has been almost literally nothing. Right? She hasn't really done anything in NXT. They haven't really given her much to work with. Outside of, they gave her Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah, then they took Aaliyah. And then they jobbed out Jessie Kamea, then they actually beat her. And they gave her Robert Stone, but he's completely worthless. LA Knight had a pretty good run with the $1 million title, but ultimately, he lost matches he should have won and lost matches for no reason. So we'll see when it comes to, but I'm almost certain those two are gone. And I don't think NXT loses a lot by losing them either. I don't think NXT loses a lot by Frankie Monet or LA Knight being picked out. I think if anything, it opens up again more opportunities. LA Knight is very good. He's a great promo. He's probably going to make it shake wherever he goes if he gets the opportunity. Same thing with Frankie. But I thoroughly enjoyed NXT this week. I had fun with it, man. The bar is low, so they can just throw 100 things at me, and I'm just interested. I'm interested in Tony D'Angelo and Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs and everything that they're doing. because I just want to see new things. I'm glad that somebody in this company realizes that new things works. Sometimes people just want to see new things. The new, the mysterious, it's interesting. Go for it. Raw and SmackDown could use it. Sure, you could have certain players that need to be there every week. Your Roman Reigns, your Bobby Lashley's, your Big E's, those guys. They need to show their face every week. But most other people can be swapped out. That's a simple concept. You don't have to have the same people on the show every week. But NXT is doing very good. It's still a success. I'm still pulling for them. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for subscribing, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.